Welcome to the School Leadership Show. I'm Mike Dowdy. This is the only podcast dedicated to helping practicing and aspiring school leaders realize their potential, advance their careers, and achieve work-life balance. We bring together the greatest minds from inside and outside of education to deliver you the insights and tools you need to succeed in school leadership. This is the show we wish we had 20 years ago. This show is about you. We're here to help you become the best school leader you can be while still having a life outside of work. In this episode, I interviewed Dr. Charlie Shaw, a chiropractor and wellness expert, about what school administrators can do to increase their energy and improve their overall health. Charlie and I get into the impact of movement, hydration, and nutrition on productivity and wellness. While you may have heard some of this advice before, it's affirming to have it come from an expert in the field. We also talk about several specific personal productivity strategies that Charlie has found effective for maintaining balance while managing a busy chiropractic practice. Charlie mentioned a few resources in the interview, and I placed the links to those in the show notes. I hope you enjoy this interview with Dr. Charlie Shaw. I'm here with Dr. Charlie Shaw, a chiropractor, and I'm going to call you a health and wellness expert. How's that sound?
Okay.
Dead on, right?
Yeah.
So, and as promised in this podcast, part of the mission here is to give practicing and aspiring school administrators practical tips and advice that can help them be better at their jobs and healthier overall. So we're diverting from the traditional education experts, and that's why Charlie's here as a health and wellness expert. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and your work in the area of health and wellness?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't start in health and wellness. I started in education, actually.
Wait, then we're done.
Yeah,
that's it.
You
gotta stop.
It's all over. It's all over. Hang it up. We're good. So I did my undergrad and my first master's degree in education at Nazareth College right here in Rochester, and spent a little time after school working in higher ed right back at Nazareth while I was working on my education master's. Liked it, decided it was kind of a glass ceiling for me, and minored in pre-med. So I just decided to quarter life crisis, go back to school, change it up. A couple of my best friends were chiropractors. I've been seeing a chiropractor since high school. Loved it. I went back. I finished my pre-med bachelor's, went to school, did that, and because I'm fairly misogynistic, as you could probably let people know, about 2/3 of the way through, I decided to get a separate master's degree in applied clinical nutrition, and graduated, came back to Rochester, started working, and kind of trying to figure it out day by day from there.
So you got a chiropractic practice.
I do, yes.
And you treat a lot of professionals.
I do.
And we know that you can't be efficient and effective at your job, any job, unless you're healthy and have energy to do it. So if you think about some of the folks, the professionals that you treat, what are some of the most common injuries or conditions that you see among people who spend their working hours in offices and sitting in meetings? And what kind of advice do you have in that realm?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's probably three big ones. The three most common ones that I see are, number one, low back pain. Number two would be neck and shoulder pain. And number three would be kind of wrist, hand, carpal tunnel type things. And it's a lot easier than people think to avoid that type of stuff. There's a couple campaigns out there that I really like. The first one is sitting is the new smoking, right?
Yeah, there's that great article in Runner's World
a
couple years ago about that.
Yeah, and I would say it's totally true. Human beings, we're not meant to be static. We're not meant to be sitting for long periods of time. Now, granted, people have jobs, and jobs require them to do that. But the first thing would be just get up and move. Even if it's for a couple minutes every hour. I'm a big fan. I ordered the Apple Watch, but one of the things that I'm excited about is for a lot of people is, it taps you on the wrist and said, "Hey, you've been sitting for almost an hour. Time to get up and move." So that would be number one. Number two would be posture. Mom was absolutely right. Sit up straight. And that's got a huge thing. You ever sit down and like everybody's always like, rub my shoulders, rub my shoulders. And everybody's got those knots, like at the bottom of their neck and right at the top of their shoulders. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people listening. They're like, yeah, and everybody's kind of like, moving their neck around. Yeah. That's because everybody's got a what they call a forward head carriage. If you were to look at somebody from the side, you'll probably never see this in nature anymore, at least in our country. Your ear should be lined up with your shoulder, and that never ever happens. Most people are kind of hunched forward, like. So if you were to take your chin and stick it out as far as you possibly can, everybody's trying this at home. So yeah, go ahead and try it right now while you're listening. Stick it out as far as you can, and you can feel that stretch, right? Like at the base of your neck, top of your shoulders. You do that on a low level every day. Every time something comes up on a screen, text on the phone.
People are walking around with their heads down.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's the whole thing. This job ruined me for people watching, right? I can't just have fun with it anymore. I'm like walking around diagnosing people, and it's crazy. But yeah, so sit up, move, and drink water. Those would be the three things. If people would do that, you're saving yourself a lot of hassle.
We're gonna get to the water and the nutrition in a second, but so move. What's that mean for somebody who has to sit in meetings all day? I mean, principals, I think, and building level administrators have an advantage over some of the rest of us because they can be out in classrooms and moving around, and that's a big part of the job. For a lot of other school administrators, it's about sitting in meetings. I tell people it's like kind of like being a dog. Like you sit somewhere and then you get up and walk to the next place to sit.
Yep.
So what would you tell those folks?
Be fidgety. You see in classrooms, or you hear mom, stop fidgeting, stop fidgeting, stop fidgeting. Well, kids are fidgeting because they want to be moving, and they want to be moving because that's how they're hardwired as humans, to be moving, right? Not to be sitting still and sitting static. So shift around in your chair from left side, right side, move up to the front, sit all the way to the back. Just, move around. You can move in your chair. And then when you can stand up, take a couple steps, move around a little bit.
If I'm running the meeting, I'll tell people at the beginning, if you have to get up and move around, go ahead, because ultimately it's going to help people pay attention better.
Yeah, absolutely. It totally is going to help people pay attention better, and people are going to be, they will remember stuff better. There's several studies that have quoted with increased blood flow, you're going to get increased oxygen, increased glucose to the brain, which is going to increase cognitive ability and increased productivity. It's just, it's crazy. And we're not talking about, running a marathon. Get up and take a couple steps. Just be fidgety, Stand up, do a quick stretch. Nobody's going to look at you like crazy, like, just getting a little
what's this guy doing? So what about, what are some things that people can do in their offices maybe to help them with some of these things?
Well, it depends. So, learn about ergonomics. It's really not difficult.
It's not rocket surgery.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not at all. And everybody thinks that it is. It's really not. It's really easy. Most people have ergonomically designed chairs that are designed to put your back in the right position. Sit in your chair right. And that's easy. If you sit down in a chair, scoot your butt all the way to the back, and then lean back into the chair, and you'll feel that push into your low back and put a nice curve into your low back. Well, then I'm too far away from my keyboard, or I'm too far away from my screen. Move the stuff closer. It's not hard. Your keyboard's not on your desk, so you can move it forward and still have space in your desk to write on your papers, and your keyboard's on the little keyboard tray, so you can pull it out and pull it closer to you, or move your chair in closer, that type of stuff. So that would be number one, is just make sure your ergonomics are good so you don't physically get tired from sitting poorly, which is a lot easier to do than just because you trained yourself to do it, sitting poorly.
What about not sitting? I know I have a desk in my office that lets me stand up, and I think we're starting to see more and more people head in that direction. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of standing desks. Just last year alone, I think I wrote between 15 and 20 prescriptions for people for stand-up desks.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
I would. I wasn't going to throw you under the bus on that, but it's helpful. Like I said, you shouldn't be sitting. You're going to be more productive when you're standing. You're going to cause yourself less back pain, less advanced degeneration, and stuff like that. And they're not that expensive, truly. I mean, you can get a good stand-up desk for uh, between less than $300, and those are the ones that you can adjust them. So if you got to sit down, you can sit down. Even if that's outside the budget, for some people, there's easy workarounds on Pinterest or YouTube that you can build to just set on your desk to make it a stand-up desk or to make it a transferable desk so you can work standing or sitting. But I think that would be my number two thing next to, sitting with better posture. If you're going to sit with better posture. If you have it within your means to either make a stand-up desk or get a stand-up desk, do that, because that would be way better.
In meetings, same idea for meetings?
Yeah, I mean, be fidgety, not to the point where you're taken away from the presenter because you want to be respectful and do stuff like that. But I think if you're the one that's running the meeting, just like you said earlier, I think it's phenomenal to say, look, if you got to get up and move, get up and move.
And I know, like when I'm giving presentations that last, I don't know, any more than 20 minutes, I try to find a way to get people up and moving at some point. So if it could be as simple as, make eye contact with someone on the other side of the room, get up and tell them one thing that you learned so far. Boom. Or one question that you have. Something, just anything to move people around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were talking before the show about, even just having meetings while you're standing up. Like if you're just meeting with a couple other people, stand up, almost like you would at like a bistro table or something.
Yeah. As I was reading through some of the questions that you said we'd be talking about today, I'm like, I talk to a lot of principals. I talk to a lot of business people who have to sit a lot during meetings, and they're like, what can I do? Other like get up and move. Well, have your meeting, go for a walk and meet while you're walking. You can multitask. They're not mutually exclusive of each other, right? The world's not going to end. You can write on a clipboard or write on a notepad.
Or when you get back.
Yeah, or even with most people's smartphone, you can record it and write it down when you get back. Absolutely. And that's you'll kind of go over the stuff again as you're rewriting it down, but you're out, you're moving, you're killing two birds with one stone. There's your exercise for the day.
Well, and I think too with leaders, it's also an opportunity to be visible and for people to see you. You're not behind closed doors all the time in meetings and stuff. So let's see. Let's change gears a little bit here to nutrition. So, we talked about moving and how we're built to move, and that's going to help with health and energy. You mentioned water. Why don't we start there?
Oh, water's key. 95% of the population walks around dehydrated just on a regular basis. I mean, that's fact. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Ask yourself, just as you're sitting there, how much water have I drank? If it's the end of the day, if you haven't had at least 8 big glasses of water, which is roughly somewhere between a half gallon and a full gallon of water, you haven't had enough water to drink.
I started, I don't know, it had to be almost a year ago, to front load it. So drink absolutely. A liter of ice water first thing in the morning.
Boom, right out of the gate.
Or over the course of my morning routine, because some people can't just pound it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that's great. Here, and kind of the metaphor, the story that I use for people is, and apologies to the vegetarians and vegans out there, but, you go to the butcher shop, you get a steak. You go to the grocery store, you get a steak, right? You're looking forward to it. Nice prime cut of meat. It's well marbled, not too fatty, on the lean side, right? We're talking about good steak, and you're looking forward to cooking it up. You take it out of the package, and it's moist. It doesn't stand up on its own. It's floppy, it'll fold right over in your hand. You can wad it up. It's almost like Jell-O. Well, if you take that piece of steak and you put it on a plate and you just left it outside in the sun for 3 days, right? It's not going to be that pliable anymore. It's not going to. It's certainly not going to be moist and flop around. You're not going to be able to stretch it. That is the same tissue that's in your muscle tissue, exactly the same. And so it's mostly water. So if you are dehydrated, you're setting yourself up for injury because your muscles aren't going to be able to work as efficiently. You're not going to be able to stretch as much. You're not going to be able to reuse them. They're not going to rebound to the same size and shape as much. And that's just talking about the muscular system. There's other research that's out there. And don't take my word. Don't even read the research. Do the test yourself. Start drinking water. Get yourself to the point where you're hydrated. Easy way to tell. And sorry to be gross. Go to the bathroom. If it's any color other than clear, you can drink more water safely, right? Now check with your doctor. If you're on a loop diuretic for high blood pressure and stuff like that, you're gonna wanna check with your doctor before you start drinking a whole bunch of extra water. And when you do, you're gonna start going to the bathroom more. That's okay.
And you're gonna know whether or not you're dehydrated.
Right, exactly. But there's another opportunity to get up and move, But so the big thing you'll start to notice is, just being hydrated, you won't need that extra cup of coffee in the afternoon. You just won't need it. And you won't even know that you don't need it. You'll get to the end of the day, I'm feeling pretty good. And you didn't have that cup of coffee.
It's better for your skin. I mean, you can't...
The benefits...
There's not enough you can say about water.
The benefits are countless. Just drink water.
What about nutrition? Because I feel like, a lot of folks... when I think of school administrators, I know they're always rushing around. They're trying to get to work as early as possible, and they might not eat, or they might eat garbage on the way to work, and Pop-Tarts and high sugar carbohydrate kind of stuff like that. Any thoughts on some easy things that people can do from a nutrition perspective to improve their energy?
Yep, absolutely. The first thing I meet with a lot of nutrition people, and from a provider's perspective, working on nutrition with people is probably the single most frustrating thing you can possibly do. Everybody wants you to tell them exactly what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. Nobody actually wants to do it, right? So the first thing is convenience. So before we even get to convenience, the big thing I try to talk about with people is, let's shift your paradigm, right? Everybody eats food that they like because they like the way it tastes. Well, you're not eating food because you like the way it tastes. You're eating food because you need the calories. You need the fuel for the machine, right? So if you just think about food as fuel instead of, that's good, let's get some of that, or I'm hungry, let's get some of that. Okay, why are you eating? I'm eating to fuel my body. So number two thing in that whole shift your paradigm would be make breakfast the biggest meal of the day. And if that requires a little bit more planning because you're rushing, then do it. Easy way to make eggs. Most people don't even think about it. You can take some eggs, scramble them up, put them in a microwave-safe dish, add some chopped up spinach, a little salt, a little pepper, and microwave it. 2.5 minutes, there's your eggs. Good to go. Typically what I tell people, especially people who are trying to lose weight, I can't lose weight, and they're cutting all these calories. What people don't realize, when you're sleeping, your body is still, you're still burning calories. Your heart's still beating, you're still breathing, you're still using calories. You don't, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, however long you sleep, you're not eating, so you're fasting. So the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, take care of business in the bathroom, go eat something, because your body is in a fasting state. And it's important to start right away, as soon as you can, eat something, because then your body gets a little bit of food and it's like, okay, we got some food, we got some calories, we got some fuel for the engine. We're not going to be starving all day. Otherwise, people that skip breakfast, that's the easiest way to start gaining weight. Your body is in that fasting mode, so every calorie it doesn't know when the next one's coming, right? Is it going to be 15 hours, 17 hours, 20 hours before I get another bite to eat? So every calorie that you ingest, it's going to store as fat because it doesn't know when the next one's coming, so it's going to store as much as it can. Breakfast, certainly the most important meal of the day. Don't skip it. Get your breakfast right, and drink water. Those are the two biggest things that you can do to improve mental performance, physical performance, be it at the gym or at your job. I mean, at your job, you think all day long, and the brain uses a whole lot of glucose to do that. And the only way you're getting your glucose is eating. So you definitely have to eat.
And what about protein? Any
Sure.
Protein versus carbohydrates. I mean, you hear a lot of Atkins, slow carb, no carb, all that kind of stuff.
All the above. Ketogenic diet, the Paleo diet's a big one right now. Paleo diet for athletes, which is different than the paleo diet. It gets your head starts to spin with all this stuff. And I think that, a lot of them are great and everybody's a little bit different. I would talk to somebody that knows more than you do, who can answer some intelligent questions. Am I taking any prescription medications? Do I have things that I need to worry about with that? And before I even get into any of those diets with nutrition clients that I'm talking about, I say, okay, what do you eat now? So immediately people are like, I barely remember what I had for breakfast. And, I talk about what I have for breakfast every day, right? It's tough. Take a little piece of paper, use your phone. There's always an app for that. MyFitnessPal is great. People can get obsessive about exactly what it is they're eating. Write down for 10 days to 2 weeks. And I say 10 days to 2 weeks, which it includes weekends. And if it's a holiday, don't change how you eat it off. If you're going to eat something, eat it. Just write it down. The time of day that you ate it, what you ate, and how much of it you ate. Piece of cake. That's all you got to do. Or put it into the app, whatever it is. And literally just by doing that, it's like a light bulb goes off in people's head. They're like, "Oh,
I don't need to eat that."
Yeah. And it's funny. I was listening to your last 2 podcasts ago, and you were talking with Jeff about information technology and how data is like a 4-letter word. All you're doing with this is just collecting data. Probably still a 4-letter word, but don't think about it like data. You got to know where you're at to determine how to get to where you want to be.
Well, and to know if you've improved.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it gets kind of addictive if you actually do it. You'll start to see what you're doing and you're like, oh, wow. And then you can see the changes that you make based on what you're doing and adjust it. Changes get better, get faster. And it's kind of a slippery slope from there in a good way.
So I'm shifting up on you a little bit here. So you're in business for yourself. So you're working pretty long hours in your practice, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. What habits have you developed personally that make you more efficient and effective?
I don't know. I think I'm always trying to figure that one out. But I would say probably stay off of... the best thing that I can do for me is schedule. Like when I'm working, I need to be working. So in order to do that, I need to schedule everything out into a routine. So for example, get to the office an hour before you start seeing patients so that, and in that hour, go through the set checklist of turn on the lights, turn on the heat packs, turn on the music, check the cash drawer, all that type of stuff. Get back to any kind of crazy emails, make sure if I got any follow-ups that I need to do with patients, get all that stuff done. Patients start coming in.
I'm going to stop you there because that sort of pre-flight checklist,
yeah.
I think that's a really underestimated piece of productivity that you hear a lot of people talk about. Like if the more you can automate in that morning routine, and the less effort you have to put into making decisions about things, the more decision-making ability you're going to have later on in
Absolutely.
the day. They call it decision fatigue. So don't spend your time making decisions about, well, should I turn the lights on now? You don't even think about that. It's boom. Here's the things I do. I don't have to think about it. They just happen.
Yep, absolutely. And literally, even if it's something that you do every day, having the checklist where you just check it off, just little wins every day. And so everything's automatic, and, set up protocols. So like for me, if I have downtime, like say there's a random time where I don't have patients scheduled and it's the middle of the day. So there's a protocol for that.
Like, what do you do when you have that time?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's scheduled. So there's no question. I know what I have to do.
What's on that list?
So it's another checklist. So I don't check email, but twice a day. I check it at about 11, between 11:30 and 12, and then I check it again at about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And
right now, people are having heart attacks.
Yeah.
They heard that. They got chest pains.
Absolutely. Email's such a...
When did email become instant messaging?
I don't know, but people totally think that that's what it is. And, you know, if you needed to talk to me that bad, call me on the phone or come into the office, right? Come get me.
Yep. That's what I tell colleagues and even administrators that I work with and supervise all the time is that, you know, if it's that important, someone's going to call you or come get you. Yeah. And the problem with checking email constantly throughout the day is that it becomes an interruption and there's a transition every time you do it and stop doing it versus, you know, you think of how much more effective you can be if you set aside a half hour and that's all you did was email.
Yeah.
And then it's done.
Well, and the perfect example is, like, so say you have a task, right? You are, let's say you're writing a grant proposal, right? And you sit down and you get into the flow. It takes you a little bit to kind of get into the flow of writing that grant proposal, right? So you get into the flow and then you decide, oh, you're going to stop and check email. As soon as you stop what you're doing...
Or worse than that, it's not even a decision. The stupid email alert pops up and distracts you.
Absolutely. So, and, you know, even go as far as I've heard of people who will... You know, they'll put a little tag right on the end of their email. Look, I check email at this time and at this time during the day, and that's what I do. So it's called batching. I got that from Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend the book, 4hourworkweek.com, all spelled out.
Yeah, we're big fans of that podcast.
Huge.
And you get credit. You get credit for turning me on to that.
Yeah. Yep. Huge fan of Tim Ferriss. Everything that he does, everybody that he talks to, just phenomenal for everything you do. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it.
So you've got that sort of checklist in the instructional world. We call those anchor activities. So like when kids are done with their work, what do they work on? Well, they have these certain things that they're anchored to. So it sounds like email is one of those things for you.
Yep, email is one of those things. And the big thing when I think about it is I look at my whole day. How do I want my day to go, right? So I structure my day so that's how it goes. And then if there's downtime, this is what I should be doing with that, X, Y, and Z. And it's X, Y, and Z in that order. First I start with X. If there's not X, then Y. If there's not Y or I finish it, then Z. But if and only if. And it's got to be a living document too. Like, so things come up, right? You're in the classroom, you're in the meeting. Things don't go a certain way, so something happens. Make a note. If you don't have a protocol for that, write a protocol for that so that it's automatic, and then you're just, you know, it's constantly.
Absolutely. Well, and I've even gone back to I take a quarter of a sheet of paper every day, and that's like I carry it around in my pocket, and that's what's going on. So I have a big three, like 3 things that I really want to accomplish that day, and then I maybe have another like little thing that just a list of random just things that I have to get done. Then also put on there like, you know, here's the things that I want to work on if I get a break. You know, if there's some sort of lag, what I want to do. And sometimes I'll write on there, go to classrooms. And that's okay. So, you know, I'm done with what I'm doing right now. And if it doesn't come right to mind, I get out my little list. I look at it, okay, going to classrooms.
Because if you don't have something, like, we're great as humans, we're great at taking direction. Great at taking direction. Even if you don't like taking direction, you do it well, you know? And so... If it's when you don't have something to do, when you have to think for a second about what do I do, that's when people will pop open Facebook, or that's when people will pop open email, and
then you're done.
There goes
sucked in
20 minutes to an hour of your life, right? And it's like, God.
And then you look up and it's an hour later, and what do you have to show for it?
Nothing.
You're watching videos of cats or something.
Exactly. And you're like, I cannot get that hour of my life back, and
that might have been time you could have left early and gone home and been with your family.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about like how do you get up and move? How do you be more productive? All that type of stuff. You do it, right? And it's people are like, well, I can never find the time to do it. That's because you're trying to find the time. If you try to find any kind of time, a bunch of famous people have said this. My dad's the one that really drove it home. He said, look, Charlie, if you ever try to find time, never going to happen. You will never find time to get stuff done. He goes, if you want to get something done, you have to make the time to do it. And it's so true.
Well, it's about choices. I mean, and time's a finite resource, and what you value is what you spend your time on. Mm-hmm. So it's very behavioral at the end of the day, that I can tell what you care about based on what you spend your time doing.
Yeah.
And you can make, I think that's, people need to feel empowered to make those choices. And sometimes that's hard, but, I think the choice is a piece of it, and it's also habit. If you get in the habit of getting yourself up and moving around a bunch of times during the day, I've even heard it on the announcements or on the PA system at different stores where they'll say, now it's time for a stretch break or something.
Wegmans is phenomenal about doing that. I love it when every time that I hear that chime in, I'm walking around at Wegmans. I'm like,
so you get right
I
down,
can stretch out
downward
too.
facing dog. Just boom, it's go time right in the store.
I heard that you should try doing that to get out of your comfort zone. They say you should walk into a busy coffee shop and just lay down on the floor for 5 seconds. Just to get out of your comfort zone.
I want somebody to try that and send me an email. I'm not there yet.
I'm totally not there, but I'm kind of thinking that I want to be there. But
listen, if you do it, let me know. I'll film it, and then we'll post it on the interwebs.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
So, what are some of the resources out there that you mentioned Tim Ferriss's work? I'm a huge fan of that.
Absolutely.
What other resources are out there that you would point to or point people to that you found to be the most helpful in terms of health and wellness?
Most helpful in health and wellness. Okay, so by and large, I would say if you have something that's ailing you, stay away from the internet. Because self-diagnosis is a very, very dangerous thing.
That is why we have doctors, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we're just people, right? Like people call me all the time or shoot me an email and say, hey, this is what's going on. And yeah, it's not stage 4 cancer, even though that's on the list from WebMD, right? So stay away from that. Talk to somebody who has experience with stuff like that. Everybody, there's 6 degrees of separation. So somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
In my neighborhood, we say, I got a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's got a guy.
Exactly. Everybody, I got a guy. I mean, commit. So, I would do that. And yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to finish up with my 3, 2, 1 here. So what are 3 pieces of advice that you would give to aspiring and practicing school leaders for improving their health and wellness?
3 pieces of advice. 1, don't plan to start doing better with your health and wellness. Just do it. Figure it out as you go. Refine it. Do something. 2, drink water. It's easy. It's really cheap. And it's really, really good for you. And 3 is be flexible. Literally and figuratively. Work on your flexibility. Flexibility is something that has the positive effects of which you couldn't count.
Why are you staring at me when you say that? Because I'm not flexible? Is that what's going on? Is this an intervention, Charlie?
This is... We've had this conversation before, yes?
Yeah, okay.
You like how I slipped that in there?
Move along, please.
Move along. Yeah, and just the latter part of that, figuratively, be flexible. Try something. If it doesn't work, change it. If that doesn't work, change it again. Try something different. Just keep trying. Don't not do anything. So those would be the 3.
Okay.
Don't wait. Do it. Drink water and be flexible.
All right. 2 of the biggest pitfalls to avoid when it comes to health and wellness. You think about the things that really jam people up and have life-altering, unpleasant consequences. What are 2 of the biggest things people can avoid?
Don't wait. Again, it sounds like a repeat, but people have, more often than not, when you have some kind of an injury, like let's say low back pain, right? Low back pain, 85% of people that have low back pain, it will resolve in 5 to 8 weeks on its own without doing anything. And you will feel somewhat better. Does that mean you are better? Probably not. Go get it taken care of. Don't wait 5 to 8 weeks. Little things are happening that they're being set in motion rather that will cause you more chronic things, like more chronic type back pain down the road. And that's simply go to somebody that's good that'll say, look, this is what's going on. This is what I'm going to do to fix it. And this is, more importantly, the tools that I'm going to give to you to rehab this the right way so that you don't do this again. And not only are you feeling better, but you're now stronger and you work better and you're not gonna be in here. I think the best doc is one that doesn't want you in their office 3 times a week. They're one that is trying their hardest to get you out of their office, right? And then just stick with that, and I think you'd probably be pretty good.
Okay. How about one thing that school leaders could start doing tomorrow that would improve their energy level and health? Can't use water again. You already used that.
Can't use water. Can't use stretching.
No water, no stretching.
Schedule movement into your day. So if you can't figure out when you can get up and move in a meeting, schedule, even if it's just 5 minutes of walking around in a circle in your office. Schedule it. Get out.
I can't wait to see that.
And move. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you pacing? You're making me nervous. No. He told me to move. But get out and move. If you got to schedule it, and schedule it. But then the other thing that I would say that's been really helpful for me, anyways, would be meditation. There's a great free meditation app that you can use it throughout the day. It's called Stop, Breathe, Think. It's a great mantra. It's really free. It does offer in-app purchases, but it's really cool because the money goes to a really good cause. If you're interested, look it up. I'll leave you with that teaser. But to be able to put some space between your thoughts, and it's guided meditation. It's not transcendental. It's really easy for beginners. It explains what's it about, why you do it. But it's a really great way in 5 minutes or less to just stop, check in, be able to put a little bit of space between your thoughts instead of just picking up that Twinkie and shoving it in your face. Think about, okay,
washing it down with a big glass of Yoo-hoo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Mountain Dew. So yeah, to just be able to, okay, do I really want that, or do I really just want some water? Is this something like that? But,
or what do I need? What's my body need right now?
Yeah, do I need to just move, and to be able to just kind of block everything out and do that is phenomenal. And if you're weirded out by meditation, don't call it meditation. Just call it a break during the day.
Call it your special quiet time.
Yeah, whatever works. Whatever works. Yeah.
So, Dr. Charlie Shaw, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
We covered a lot of ground in a little bit of time here. So where can people go to learn more about you and your practice?
The best place to go would be right to our website, which is www.activecarechiropractor.com. And that can link you to our LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, all that stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to go home and stretch now.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Take it easy.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the School Leadership Show, a podcast for aspiring and practicing school leaders by school leaders. Send your comments, questions, and show ideas to mike@schoolleadershipshow.com. Consider rating the podcast in iTunes and leaving a comment. And please pass the show along to your colleagues.